Spencer.
Well, there's many things for this fight. I think Errol Spence he's not boxed as often as I'd like him to have boxed. He's been in a big car crash. I think that's going to play a factor in the fight. For me, for his precision and how he can switch styles, and when he hurts, he's a great finisher. I've got a lean towards Crawford, but this fight has got everything in it. I think Spence is a bigger man. Styles make fights. I think he's going to find it harder, Crawford, in being a natural southpaw, and he's going to hit his body harder. He's a big puncher, but I think Crawford keeps getting better and better, and I lean towards him in this fight, but there's only a small percentage in this fight. I think this is the best welterweight matchup that we've had in the last 50 years. Get over to watch that fight, after being...
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, what you just heard was the voice of former IBF welterweight world champion, British superstar boxer, Special K, Kell Brook, okay? Kell Brook, he weighed in and gave his thoughts on this highly anticipated, undisputed welterweight showdown in the year 2023. This is the biggest fight, like Kell Brook said, in 50 years. I believe it's the biggest fight in 40 years, okay? 50 years is a stretch. 40 years, in my opinion. In 2023, you're going to get the biggest fight in 40 years. Kell Brook finished his career 40 wins, 3 losses, no draws, 28 big wins by way of knockout. 3 times he was knocked out. He has stood at 5'9" with a 70-inch arm reach. He lost to Terrence Bud Crawford, one of the participants, undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, with a record of 39 wins, no loss, no draw, 30 big wins by way of knockout, 35 years of age, 5'8", with a 74-inch arm reach. They fought November 2020, November 14th of 2020. Terrence Crawford, he stopped Kell Brook in the 4th round of that fight, knocked Kell Brook out in the 4th round of that fight. He fought against the other participant in this fight, July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena, against the undefeated unified 3-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 2, if not the #1, definitely top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, and Errol the Truth Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. is 28 wins, no loss, and no draw. He is 22 big wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. He fought Kell Brook May of 2017, May 27th of 2017. Kell Brook lost, a knockout loss to Errol Spence in the 11th round. Errol Spence broke his right orbital bone. Kell Brook was unable to continue. Okay, so he fought Errol Spence in 2017. 3 years later, he fought against Terrence Bud Crawford, and they both stopped him. Terrence Crawford did so in the 4th round. Errol Spence did so in the 11th round. But keep in mind, there was 2 different versions, regardless of what people tell you, of Kell Brook. Okay, Kell Brook fought in September 10th of 2016. He jumped 2 weight classes from 147 to 160 to challenge the middleweight unified reigning world champion superstar boxer Gennady Triple G Golovkin. He lost a TKO loss in favor of Golovkin. He was giving Golovkin all types of problems, all types of work. But the size of Golovkin eventually broke his left orbital bone, and he was unable to continue in that fight. And then 9 months later, he fought against Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence broke the other orbital bone, okay? And then Kell Brook, he went on from the Errol Spence fight. He went on to fight Sergey Rabchenko. He won a knockout victory. But at this point in time, Kell Brook had moved up to 154, okay? He was fighting at 154. He stated that a big problem with Errol Spence fight was that Errol Spence was fighting at 147. Errol Spence was Kell Brook's IBF, International Boxing Federation, mandatory challenger. This was for Errol Spence's first title opportunity. It was in Kell Brook's backyard in the UK. And Kell Brook stated that he jumped up to fight Gennady Golovkin at 160. And when he came back down to fight Errol Spence at 147, 9 months later with the injury, he stated that he just simply struggled with the weight. He struggled, to drain himself down. He looked great on the scales, but he struggled. And so he stated that, and that was the problem, and he wanted to rematch Errol Spence at 154. He then moved up to 154 after the Errol Spence fight. He came back March 2018, okay? Nearly a year later, he fought Sergei Rabchenko. He knocked him out, okay? Then he came back December of 2018. He fought Michael Zarafa, okay? He got a unanimous decision over him. Then he came back February of 2020. 2 years later, he fought Mark DeLuca. He got a knockout victory. But all these fights was at 154. Then he decided to come back down in November and fight against Terrence Bud Crawford, okay, at 147. Now, keep in mind, after the Errol Spence fight, he moved up to 154, and he stated that he simply could not make the weight anymore. That was a problem. So then he came back down 3 years later to fight Terrence Crawford, and he was knocked out by Terrence Crawford. Then he came back 2 years later, 2022, and he fought and beat his biggest rival in Amir King Kong. He eventually knocked him out. That was the fight he's been wanting his entire career, and he knocked out Amir Khan. So Kell Brook is Errol Spence's first title opportunity. He fought Terrence Crawford 3 years later. So there's a difference, okay? There's a clear difference in the versions of Kell Brook that they fought. Now, I know, like Terrence Crawford will say, well, he was injured when he fought against, before he fought against Errol Spence. He had injured his eye when Kell Brook. And then, he injured his eye, with Errol Spence, but it was the other eye. And so then, Terrence Crawford says, well, he was damaged goods. When Errol Spence fought him, he was damaged goods when I fought him. Nonetheless, Kell Brook was one of the best fighters in the world. At his reign, before the Triple G fight, which I didn't agree with, Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn pushed for that fight. He jumped up 2 weight classes. Kell Brook at that time had beaten Sean Porter, and he was considered to be the best welterweight in the world. He and Keith Thurman, that was the 2 best welterweights in the world, not named Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao at that time. And everybody was looking for a unification bout between Keith Thurman and Keith Thurman held the WBA title, and Kell Brook held the IBF. It was a big fight, a big unification fight. Kell Brook versus Keith Thurman. And then he decided, as a late replacement. Keep in mind, Gennady Golovkin was set to face off against Chris Eubanks Jr. Okay, he was supposed to fight Chris Eubanks Jr. Something happened where Chris Eubanks Jr. pulled out the fight. It was supposed to be Triple G versus Chris Eubanks Jr., and Chris Eubanks pulled out the fight. And Kell Brook replaced Chris Eubanks Jr., jumped up 2 weight classes. He gave Gennady Golovkin problems. He exposed some things in him, but he was just out of his weight class. It shouldn't have happened. He should have stayed focused on his IBF mandatory, which was Errol Spence, and Keith Thurman. And now that I look back at the style matchup, I think that Kell Brook, before the Triple G fight and before the broken eye socket, I think he might have beaten Keith Thurman, because Keith Thurman's weakness was a glaring weakness is going to the body. Kell Brook is big. He's strong. He's fundamentally sound. He's technically sound. He has pretty good defense, and he definitely has power. And he's quick enough, right? So I think that he might have put a lot of pressure on Keith Thurman, possibly beat Keith Thurman, but at that time he was considered one of the best welterweight, if not the best welterweight. And I thought that somewhat derailed his career, right? And then Errol Spence broke the other eye socket, and it was downhill from there. But he's picking Terrence Crawford. He stated the versatility of Terrence Crawford, that, essentially, again, like I continue to tell people, anybody that picks Terrence Crawford, they always cite the same thing. Terrence Crawford has more tools in the toolbox. He stated that he thinks that the fact that Errol Spence is a natural southpaw that's going to give Terrence Crawford problems, and Errol Spence is good at going to the body in the beginning of the fight. And he says that as the fight goes on, that Terrence Crawford will make adjustments. He gets better, and he'll eventually, win the fight by a narrow margin, right? He'll make the adjustments. He said that another thing is the fact that Errol Spence just hasn't been very, very active. So he said the car accident, the eye injury, the inactivity is going to hinder Errol Spence. But again, like I said, when people pick Errol Spence, is because they say, well, Errol Spence is bigger, stronger, fundamentally sound, and has an extreme high work rate. That's why he's going to beat Terrence Crawford. And when they pick Terrence Crawford, is the versatility of Terrence Bud Crawford. So Kell Brook is saying that, Errol Spence hits hard. He goes to the body extremely well. But he said that Terrence Crawford will adapt, and Terrence Crawford will win the fight. It's ironic because I just did a video earlier that they decided not to send out to my peopleizations, and was with Errol Spence saying that, Terrence Crawford wastes time trying to calculate and compute the information he needs. And he said, I'm going to give him a virus while he's doing that. So let's see how this all unfolds and plays out. July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena. Kell Brook said he'll be in the building. And that's all I got for y'all, man. It's ironic because Kell Brook's grandmother, she picks Errol Spence, right? She picked Errol Spence, and she's a student in the sport of boxing. So she said Errol Spence going to win, but he stated that Terrence Crawford going to win. So can't wait to see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is, man. It's your boy Blue. Follow me. Shouts out to everybody, man. I appreciate y'all coming through, studying up, holding your boy Blue down and showing me love. I'm gone. Peace.